Hello and welcome to my roundup of the month of May on PS Plus. The games were City Skylines and Farming Simulator 19. City Skylines is developed by Colossal Order. It is 10 gigabytes and it is a city builder. I was really quite happy to get this game actually. It makes sense that they would do it as a PS Plus game because it does also have a lot of DLC and they just gave us the base game, so there is still plenty of room for spending money and for them to earn money from giving it away for free. So that does make sense. Now I only played on the build your city from scratch mode, and then afterwards I realised there was also a scenario mode as well that I never tried, and perhaps that might have changed my opinion on this game, because as excited as I was for it, it's my second time of trying it now and it's still never clicked with me. I think maybe one of the reasons is because when I play a city builder, I like to kind of have goals. Like, if I don't have a goal, I get a bit, I don't want to say bored, a little bit bored. So really I should have gone onto the scenario mode to explore that side of the game. But instead, all I can talk about for now is the city building from scratch. So I do apologise about that. So I kind of had a similar problem this time as I did the first time that I played it, which is I tried to make a city. There is not a lot tutorial wise to guide you, so then there was a basic amount and then I would follow what it was saying. For example, when you build in a city, it's very much a realistic city builder, as in you have to pay attention where you're going to put water pipes, where you're going to put drainage pipes, where you're going to put electricity. And for me, I felt like I had everything placed quite well, but then something wasn't working for some reason or another, which I still never actually found out why. And the drainage wasn't working, and I just thought maybe if they could have just given a better example of how it's supposed to work, it would be a headache avoided. So I wasn't a fan of just the beginning section of the build your own city mode, just because there was no sort of, not context, but no detailed instruction about how to make things work properly. Now, from what I've heard about City Skylines, sort of end game is you can build a city that you want, whatever, but you always have to keep in mind the traffic. It eventually becomes a traffic management simulator, which again is not really just something that I find fun, and it's not something that I personally want in a city builder myself. I was surprised that it worked well on the controller. I didn't have any problem with the controls because I was under the impression going in that it's better played with mouse and keyboard, but the controls translated totally fine to me. I did like the way that you would place zones for different types of buildings to be built. So I would say traditionally, at least in city builders that I've played, you would choose a house to build. Like you would say, I will build this house that will house this many people here, or I will build this apartment block here, etc, etc. Whereas in this game, you just place a zone, a residential zone, and they kind of build themselves, and they actually get inhabited by people with names, and then your city actually starts becoming a working city, so you can then follow, you can see where they work, you can follow the car around and see where they're going. And then as you get deeper into the game, you will start to get into education and stuff, get them better educated to make better jobs. So then you can have like your industrial estate area for kind of the lower skilled workers, I would say, and then you can have your office area for the more educated types of people. I think that's how it works in the game. And it does make you think about just what's a good way to lay out these cities, and you don't have to get hung up on placing this building specifically here. It's more thinking about the bigger picture of the cities, which is a cool take on it, I'll give it that. But I just realised from my time with it that I just prefer a more arcadey type of city builder. And I do regret not trying the scenario option rather than the free build. Overall, I do think it's a good game to get for free on PS Plus for sure. Like I was excited to get to try it on console, and I think that if it clicks with you, I bet some people have made some awesome creations on it, but my issue with it was just not quite enough helpful information at the start of the game so that I knew what I was doing as I played, rather than having to potentially go online and try and find a guide. I don't feel like you should have to do that in a game. So that's kind of my take on it. I think it's a good PS Plus game, but it's not one that I have any interest really in picking back up again, which is a little bit surprising because I did think that it was my kind of genre, but I've learned a bit anyway that maybe too much freedom isn't for me, and I need my hand holding a little bit. Then we had Farming Simulator 19, which took up 8.64 gigabytes, and it is developed by Giant Software. So Farming Simulator is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a simulator on a farm. You can just simulate farming. Literally, you can drive vehicles, you can farm the fields yourself, not just a management simulator, like an actual work simulator as well. But then it doesn't have to be all totally grind, so you can hire people to drive your vehicles for you. You've got to prepare your fields, and then you've got to plant them, and then you've got to harvest them. And what's cool about it is it's set in a little bit of an open world where there are other farms in the area as well. So you can do contracts for them if you need more work or more money. And there are drop-off points where they will buy different things. So if you can produce a certain thing, you can then literally deliver it yourself to the people what they need, which I think is a really cool idea. I enjoyed taking my truck out for a little look about to see what was around really. Now, even when you start up the game, you have the option of how you would like to play. So you have the option, if you would like to start right at the bottom, no money, work your way up. If that sounds like having a goal like that is good for you, then you can choose that option straight away. Or the other option is you can choose unlimited money or whatever, start off in a really good position, and then you can kind of make your farm how you want to make it and do whatever you want in that way as well. So there is quite a lot of freedom about how you would like to play this game. Another note as well is that there is multiplayer available. I didn't try it, but I have read from certain people online that it can actually be fun playing with multiplayer, and I think it would probably be more fun playing in multiplayer than it is playing by yourself. Obviously I can't say that because I didn't do it, but I imagine that it would be fun, even if it's not a game that you play all the time, just to boot it up and just mess around with your friends a little bit, making a farm. Like, I think that would be quite fun. So I kind of feel like I did one loop of the game. So I got all my fields sorted out, I prepared them, harvested them, sold them or stored them, and I didn't get the urge to really do any more. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a gameplay loop. It doesn't have to be, don't get me wrong, because you can do the contract, and there's also like an animal section that I had no idea how to look into, so you can expand what you're doing. But for me, I felt like the core loop was going to be sort of make sure your fields are all right and stuff, and once I'd done it once, I'd kind of had enough. I thought, right, that's all right, and so I just started messing about with the game as well, just to see what the rest of it was like. And I had some thoughts about it. These farming simulators, they seem to release like one each year or something, and I honestly think they would completely benefit from taking a couple of years off and making a super slick, polished version of this game. So when I went exploring in the open world, like, I broke the game almost. It was completely glitching out. It was not happy that I was trying to climb up these mountains, even though there was things to find up these mountains. Like, the game was just glitching out. It was not happy at all. There were certain little details that weren't there as well, and I thought, imagine if they just, instead of cranking out the games each year, just actually took the time to refine this experience. I think they could make an absolutely class game, especially when you consider the open world aspect of it. And another thing, maybe not for the target audience of this game, I understand that, but for people like me, I would find it very interesting. I did mention it when I was playing. If they had, like, because you can hire workers, but you just hire someone and then they're gone. If they actually had like some sort of, I'm not saying social simulator or anything like that, but where you could, choose what workers you want to hire, because obviously a lot of farms will hire seasonal workers, and it can be quite a thing. Like, maybe not in this game, but I know if you go travelling, you can go fruit picking on farms and stuff and do that for a few months. That kind of thing would be cool if you could, like, maybe get some CVs and choose who you want to hire, and they can, like, you have a little house to manage where they can live, and I think that would make a bit more interesting gameplay as well, rather than just the people disappearing. Also, just some of the minor things that would really tidy it up. For example, like, so to hire someone to do this job, right, you've got to be in your tractor doing the field, and then you press hire and they will finish that job for you. Whereas it would be cool if you could actually get people to full-time do these jobs. But even the mini things, like, once you hire them, you then have to, like, jump out of your tractor while it's still moving. But there isn't actually an animation for that either. You just get out of the tractor, and then it's just a bit, is janky the right word? It feels very janky. So same as when you get in, there isn't an animation for some of the things that you do, which I think would just make it a bit more seamless. But I just feel like they've got a core concept of what could be a really good game, especially if they do all the things what I've just said, and then even double down on the multiplayer aspect as well. That could be really cool. So you could, maybe not even just with friends, you could go and visit other people's farms. Now I think I've just been playing too much Animal Crossing. Like, you know how you can visit other people's islands? Like, if you could have some sort of system, but with farms instead. I don't know, I feel like, yeah, I think if they just stop making these each year and really make a brilliant game, I think that would be much more satisfying to me than this was. I have no desire to go back to this, but I can see little seedlings that could grow into, like, greatness. Oh, and just before I finish talking about that game, it is a good podcast or music and chill game where you can just put on a podcast or listen to some music or even watch the telly at the same time, and then just play this game separately in the background. Just do your graft, you know what I mean, and just fill your brain, well, empty your brain a little bit, and just do some mindless graft while focusing on other things at the same time. So I think it does have its value, and there is definitely a place for it, and I'm glad that I tried it. I'm really glad that I got to try it. I just think that there is so much potential for something a bit more as well, so I'm going to leave it there with Farm Simulator. So the interesting thing about this month is a lot of people weren't happy, because basically we got two simulation type games. I feel like I want to argue that and say, just because they're both management games, they're also very different. Like, a city building game is very different to a farm simulating game. Like, completely different. Like, not even remotely similar, really. But I do understand where people aren't happy with the fact that if you don't like any type of management game, there is absolutely nothing for you this month. But then I would also argue that has happened a lot of other months before for me as well, where there was just nothing that I was interested in because I wasn't interested in combat or something like that. I do understand what people are saying about maybe they could have separated them, done one month, one another month. But also, I just feel like there's a couple of reasons maybe that they've done this. One, because we are sort of in the height of COVID, where we are all sort of quarantined, social distancing, and a lot of us don't have any normality, and I think there's some normality in these games where I suppose a lot of people play games for escapism, whereas this was actually sort of the opposite, and it's like, these are little games where you can get into a routine. There is a bit of a gameplay loop, and they're almost games that can kind of feel a bit like work at a time where lots of people have lost their jobs. So that's kind of what I wonder if they were thinking. I mean, I don't know, that is just the impression that I got from the timing of these games, because we haven't really had a month like it before. I mean, we barely get management games at all, so it is a bit strange to have them both on the same month. Another reason that maybe they kind of thought, yeah, maybe, is because of the success of Animal Crossing. I did see other people discussing this online, and I was like, that could be, it could be. Because if you think about Animal Crossing, you are building an island and it is the perfect slice of life game. And I feel like they've kind of took the city building and the farming, like there are aspects of both of those things in Animal Crossing, and they've given us those games to kind of simulate that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think you can probably, if you think about it, see the similarities, and you can see what I mean there. So maybe that could have influenced it as well, I'm not quite sure. But for me, I thought it was a good month. I like this month better than a lot of people did, and I know that I'm not the only one as well. And I think it's nice for people to get to try things that they wouldn't normally buy. I was not going to buy either of these games, but I was definitely curious to try them. So to me, that's the best kind of month, because I get to try something I was never going to buy. About a year ago or something, I would have been saying this was the perfect month for me. I would have been so looking forward to this month. But actually, from playing these games, I've learned that I think my game tastes are changing. And again, I wouldn't realise this if I didn't get these games given on PS Plus. But I think it wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. Not exciting isn't the right word, because I know it's not action games or anything like that. But what I can say is that because we already know that June's games are action games, I wasn't mad. Whereas, you know, sometimes when it comes to shooters and I'm like, oh, another shooter, I was quite looking forward to June. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this roundup. June's games will be coming soon, and they are Call of Duty World War II, where I'll talk a little bit about the game a week early, which was a bit strange. And the other game is Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I've never watched Star Wars, so yet another interesting month for me. Thank you for listening. Let me know your thoughts or opinions on the month of May, or any month of PS Plus, or PS Plus in general. Always happy to hear what anyone has to say. As always, I'm just super thoroughly enjoying doing this series, and I'm really excited to share the next games with you because I've already played them and had a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Bye!